So I wanted to do a short video on the topic of whether or not being a teaching artist makes an artist less of an artist, and why people think that teaching art takes away from an artist's edge. And initially I came up with the idea for this topic when I was actually teaching a group of art instructors who taught in the school system, like, kindergarten through high school. They were going to learn different techniques and ideas from artists, and so I had gone to teach these things, and I spoke to a teacher who mentioned that she only did it as a hobby, and we talked about how some people are able to make most of their income through art and teach on the side, and then there's teachers who create art on the side. So that's initially why I came up with this idea. So the first question is, of course, what is a teaching artist? And the way I define it is it's an artist who makes most of their income off of original creations, performances, royalties. This could even be like songs for songwriters, but who also teach classes and workshops for additional income. And then, of course, we want to look at what a teaching artist is versus what a teacher who makes art is. And there is a distinct difference, and it's really kind of like a flip switch. So the difference between a teaching artist and a teacher who creates art. So a teaching artist, again, is an artist who makes most of their income as an artist, but who also teaches classes and workshops to supplement that income. And then a teacher who creates art is someone who teaches at a school, and it could be art classes or it could be varying subjects, and who creates art in their free time. For teachers who create art, art is generally not their main source of income, and it is more like a hobby, and not their main career. And so now there's the question of, why would people assume that teaching artists are not real artists? And I think that it's because people think that if you have to depend on other work than just making art, that you're not a real artist. People have a very romanticized idea about artists, and they assume that if someone's a successful artist, that means they don't have to rely on other income, and that if one does have to rely on other income, then they're not considered successful. But the truth is that a lot of very successful artists, past and current, have taught art in some capacity, usually in the form of workshops or at the university level. And I actually learned this when I started doing research on other artists. In order to get into a lot of the MFA programs, teaching art is part of the ways that they get grants and funding to attend school. So a lot of favorite artists from the past have taught at the university level. And then there's a question of, can artists make it on their own? And I think that making it strictly on income selling art pieces is possible, but not typical. A lot of time I have found that artists have partners who work in fields that have more stability and are possibly the main breadwinners. So, people working in like nursing or teaching or counseling and stuff like that. They're like, artists have partners who work in those fields, so they offer stability, and then the artists can have the freedom to do their work. And then also, artists usually depend on other forms of income that revolve around their art, like selling prints and cards of their art images, doing presentations and art talks, and even doing tutorials on YouTube. Sometimes artists even have to take on temporary and part-time jobs to supplement their income, while their art sales kind of slow down, but this doesn't make them any less of an artist, especially if their main income is from art endeavors. And so how can this way of thinking be changed? I think that as someone who's done community engagement and community arts projects, doing these things revolving around the arts, but as it becomes more popular and in demand, I think people will start to look at artists as being more multidimensional, and the art will be seen as more than just like creating a painting and then putting it in a gallery. Like, it'll have more context in the form of like community building and stuff like that. And then also artists can do presentations about previous artists and their lives and include how teaching enhanced these artists' careers and how it was actually necessary for them to complete school and just become better artists in general. So I, of course, would say yes, teaching artists are real artists. And usually it's the art part that comes first anyways. And the teaching of art, you know, not to like dismiss it or anything, but it's something that artists maybe love to do or find that it's something that's necessary to keep going, to gain more income. And overall, I also like to look at it this way, that artists who don't directly teach, they still do so like inadvertently through their art. When people see art in a gallery, they're feeling some emotion or they're learning something from it. And so artists still teach in that way, in my opinion. So, yep. Thanks for watching, and I hope that you enjoyed this video, and please leave some comments about your experiences as an artist and teaching and stuff like that. Thanks.